And we are live. It's a Dynasty Show. We are back. If you're unfamiliar with this unhinged, uncensored Stevie B and Hammer, what is up, everybody?
Ooh, I like that. That's a nice little intro. Unhinged, uncensored. That's every day of my life these days. Unhinged. Oh man, that's good stuff.
What is good? Derek in the chat. Song. What up, Song? Mr.
Got the
Bakes a
whole
lot.
crew.
What up?
Yeah,
Kev in the
man.
building. What up, Kev?
My man.
Diaz here. What up, Diaz? Kidda. Yeah, Kidda rejects everything. What up, Kidda?
Reject all offers made by Steve. He's trying to bone you. Pause.
Bogey in the building. What up, Bogey? But
Bogey,
yeah,
what up, man?
we got a mock that we're gonna start at 11. We've got a mock draft that we're gonna go off of. So we're gonna use those landing spots to use for our rookie draft. So that'll be fun. There's some interesting spots, so some interesting things to talk about. But from last week, I mean, what we haven't talked about is the whole Stefan Diggs trade, right? That happened after our show. So there's a lot that's going on, obviously. With that, they
Mm-hmm.
wind up wiping off the last few years of the contract, which were team options. So it was kind of like that possibly could happen, but I don't think it's ever like happened before where people are aware like you can even do something like that. Um, so essentially it's like a 1 year deal. So now
Mm-hmm.
what does that mean for everybody involved? I guess we can start. Let's just start with Stefan Diggs. We'll talk a little bit about everybody. What do you think this does for Stefan Diggs, value wise or in just pure like, wide receiver wise? Like, what are we thinking now? He goes to a squad with Nico Collins, with Tank Dell, with Dalton Schultz, with Joe Mixon, right? We've got a whole lot of guys over there with obviously quarterback CJ Stroud, leaving his boy Josh Allen, apparently not his boy. But yeah, what do you think?
So there's definitely a lot to unpack here. I think that's what makes this kind of trade situation really fun to look at because there's many layers. Obviously, we're going to take apart the Buffalo angle, but I think it's important to start with the Houston angle and the Stephon Diggs angle. I think first and foremost, we were all kind of surprised that that was the landing spot.
Mhm.
I was definitely surprised because I'm like, do they really need a Stephon Diggs with that young kind of offense, a young quarterback? Did they really need a diva type receiver in Stephon Diggs that has been known to ruffle some feathers when he's not getting his? So I think it was a super interesting move. And I guess to answer your question directly, for Stephon Diggs, I think it means that his number, he's not going to be what he has been for the last 6 7 years. Like he's not gonna, he's not gonna be that 100 catch, 1400 yard, 8 9 10 touchdown guy anymore.
Just
He's not
160
that.
target, not happening.
No, those days are over. Now, I do think he'll be solid, but they've, as you mentioned, you ran down 4 or 5 different guys that are very capable playmakers on that Houston offense. Now, I think because it's a 1 year deal, I like it. Right, there's not a long term financial commitment. The Texans are still going to be really good in terms of cap shape going forward. So I think the Texans looked at it as, hey, listen, we were pretty good last year. We can go all, we're basically going all in, right? With the Mixon deal, with the Diggs deal. They still have plenty of young guys. They re-signed Dalton Schultz, which I think was a really nice piece to keep for them. And I think it means more for CJ Stroud than anything else. The one thing I don't really worry about is Diggs kind of causing that much of a ruckus because this is CJ Stroud's team. I don't think there's any question about it. You know what I mean? And if he does cause a ruckus, they could just be like, all right, dude, see ya. Like there's very little risk involved. So I think from the Texan standpoint, they were looking at it as low risk, high reward. Now for Stefon Diggs, yo, you have a really good chance to do some damage in the AFC with a young up and coming offense. And you could teach some of those young guys, the Nico Collins, the Tank Dells. I'm sure that's going to be beneficial for them. But on the Stephon Diggs angle, he's not the wide receiver one that we've known for the last 6-7 years. That's how to boil it down.
Oh, does he is that upside taken away, right? That top 5 upside. I mean, so what is he now? Basically, you got to look at him as basically a wide receiver too,
Yeah,
right?
with
And is
inconsistency.
he even the top dog? Like, how is that even going to shake out? We don't know what's going to happen. Now, it looks like Tank Dell's like on schedule to like he's running around and doing all that already.
Right.
So it doesn't look like it was like an
He'll miss
insurance policy,
significant
like
time.
maybe
Right.
Tank Dell's going to miss a little bit, or they're going to be slow to bring him back. So,
Mm-hmm.
what it could be
Originally,
interesting to
that's
see
what I thought it was.
where he lines up too, right? Do you put Nico and Diggs on the outside and Dell in the slot, or now that Diggs is older, maybe you get him inside the slot a little bit? Dell could play outside. I mean, he's a smaller guy, but he's good getting off the ball and press, so they could experiment a little bit with that too. So that's gonna be interesting. But why he wants to go away from being the top dog, because he's not like he needs to get his, like he's that type of guy. So what is he going to go over there now and bitch and complain when he doesn't get the targets that he
Mm-hmm.
needs? I mean, maybe that's why it's only the 1 year deal, so they don't need to worry about that. Um, but yeah, from the dig side, I mean, I don't know if it necessarily like does it hurt his value really. It doesn't make his value go any higher for sure. Like especially if we're thinking like the upside is kind of taken away, that kind of dings him down a little bit, right? So, I mean, value wise, what are we talking? Early second? Like, are you willing to pay a late first for Diggs right now?
Probably not.
No. I mean,
You
I
might
just
want to see.
sold Stephon Diggs in one league for a 25 first. I gave up Diggs and the 211, and I got a 2025 first.
It's not bad.
Take the first.
That's not
I'll
bad.
take the first. I feel like I can replace that production. Like I don't feel like that's that top 5 production anymore.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And I think it's important because I mean, listen, maybe you'd go in if you are a Stephon Diggs owner, maybe you're thinking CJ Stroud, Stephon Diggs, but they have such a plethora of playmakers. And CJ Stroud is one of those guys that's, I say this about Jordan Love a lot, where he's an equal opportunity employer. Like he's gonna get the ball to the open guy. And if it's not Stephon Diggs, he's not getting the ball. There's plenty of capable guys on that offense where he can't go in there and think that he is the unquestioned guy. Is he going to have weeks where he catches 7 or 8 balls for 95 yards and a touchdown? Sure. Are they going to be a lot fewer and further between than they were in Buffalo? Yes.
Mhm. Yeah. Still can't believe it even happened. I mean,
It shocked
but
the
all
hell out
right.
of me
So
that he went to that spot.
yeah, I mean, I guess that's the dig part of it. Let's talk about like what does that do with Nico? What does that do to Nico, and what does that do to Dell? And we'll talk about the Buffalo side. We'll talk about Stroud too. But what does that do now for guys like Nico Collins and Tank Dell? Again, does that cap the upside a little bit for one season? Yeah, for sure. But what are we doing after that, right? I mean, when you're talking about a guy like Nico Collins who is on that contract year, are they going
Mm-hmm.
to re-sign him, or are they going to slap a tag on him and just they're letting Diggs go and now like Nico's the guy? Maybe then he gets the contract. Are they trying to, I don't know, man. It's like there could be questions about Nico, right? I think even last week we said it was I said it was a good buy to go in and get Nico. That was before obviously the Stephon Diggs trade happened, but it's even more of like a buy now where like the value is a little bit lower. Like, do you have to suppress your hopes for 1 year? Maybe Nico might not finish as a wide receiver one this year, but I think he can in the future, and I think he can, on this team, especially if they wind up keeping him. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, but it is going to be a question. And then do they tag him? And then we get into a whole situation like T. Higgins or some shit like that. But I think it's a good opportunity to go buy Nico Collins right now. And same thing, he's probably in that wide receiver 2 range. It probably hurts Tank Dell the most, the move, at least in my opinion, I would say. So you got Nico and Stephon Diggs giving you that wide receiver 2 numbers. Tank Dell giving you those wide receiver 3 flex numbers, hopefully. But I'm still buying Nico. And obviously now the cost is probably even a little bit cheaper. You know, is it a 111, 112? Is it a second and a piece? Like there's people out there that are panicking with Nico Collins, panicking, right, with Tank Dell. So, you know, can you go out there and get you Nico Collins for relatively cheaper? Or do you go after the cheaper one in Tank Dell? Like, is that even more of a bargain where you can spend even less and just go get yourself a Tank Dell instead? At a time like this. So, you know, I think Nico's okay. It's going to be interesting what happens next year. And Tank Dell is tied to Stroud. Like he's there. He's not going anywhere. Right. So do you go in and you go buy low on a Tank Dell? Can it cost you a mid-second for somebody that is, you know, panicking right now? Even if it's an early second, like I'm still willing to try and go and pay that, you know, to get a guy in that offense. You want somebody in that offense. So yeah, what do you think about this for Nico and Dell?
I do think it caps them to a degree because listen, Stephon Diggs
Mhm.
is still a really good
Sure.
receiver and he's going to command targets. So the ceiling isn't going to be as high as if as last season on both of those guys. I think Tank Dell is going to be a little bit more boom or bust type situation just because of the
Mhm.
command of targets. You know what I mean? And we didn't even, we're not even including the Dalton Schultz and the Joe Mixons in here as
Oh,
part of what we're the full scope of things in terms of targets from the wide receiver. So I think it'll be really interesting. I agree with that. I agree with the cap, but the interesting part about it is that Nico Collins is the young guy. He is the next guy up in terms of, hey, you're going to be our wide receiver one. He proved he could do that already. So it's not like
mhm,
Nico Collins doesn't have that kind of cachet where, hey, I could be a wide receiver one on a really good team that goes to the playoffs and wins a playoff game with my young rookie quarterback. So I think Nico Collins having the season that he had bodes well for him because he's not just some unproven guy that we think has upside. He went out there and showed us what he could do, but while being a featured, wide receiver. So I think from that standpoint, um, the Texans obviously understand that this is a 1-year experiment with Stephon Diggs to see if they could get them over the top in a really, really good AFC. Obviously, you talk about Kansas City, Baltimore. What's Aaron Rodgers going to do with the Jets, Miami, Buffalo, Cincinnati, right? Is Jacksonville going to get their shit together? The Chargers kind of take a little bit of a backseat because of all the changes. So
mhm,
it's gonna be I really think in looking at it, how do you not have the Texans third in the AFC hierarchy, right? Behind Kansas City
mhm,
and Baltimore. Like that's kind of how I feel about it. You could throw Cincinnati in there, but Cincinnati has to prove that they could keep all their core guys healthy and ready to roll through the playoffs. So I'd look at I'd slot Houston in as 3-4 right there with Cincinnati
mhm.
in the hierarchy in the AFC. I don't know how you feel about that with this addition.
I mean, yeah, they gotta be. I mean, there's plenty to go around. Like, I mean, you could
Hmm.
have 3 like 1,000-yard wide receivers. Now, is that gonna happen? I mean, we don't know, but you've got the talent. You know, how many times is CJ Stroud gonna throw the football? Is he throwing for 5,000 yards, 40 tutties? Like, are we gonna see something like that? I think it's possible, but um,
The thing I don't want to see is him forcing the ball to Stephon Diggs. I think that's
yeah,
the biggest thing. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? Where he feels like he has to throw
Well,
it to him, like Josh Allen. Like that started happening, and that's when you get the turnovers. That's when because the guys Nico Collins and Tank Dell and Dalton Schultz to a lesser degree, they have a rapport, right? They've already been through a
mhm,
training camp. They've been through a full season. They've been in playoff games, big critical situation playoff games where they had to have it. And if you remember down the stretch of the season with Houston, they had to win those games to even make the playoffs. So they were in a lot of high leverage situations where that trust is built. So I don't want to see CJ Stroud forcing the ball to a Stephon Diggs. You know what I mean? That
mhm,
leads to the higher turnover rate. Because one of the things that we marveled about with CJ Stroud this past season was his extremely low turnover rate. I think he had 5
mhm.
interceptions the whole season, and
Well, he's
3 of
smart.
those came in one single game.
And you hope that a guy like Stefon Diggs coming in doesn't like, you know, cause issues
Push the
or make
envelope.
this guy
Yeah.
feel like, you know, he's got to, you know, force the ball to him. Like he's got to have his targets. Like, no, do what you
Yeah.
do, spread that shit around, and you make Stefon Diggs be whatever you need him to be, not what like
Facts.
he
Not the
wants
other
to
way
be
around.
or think what he
Yeah.
wants to be. Like, no. So I think that's going to be a big thing because especially as like a young quarterback now, you got this like prolific wide receiver coming in, and you kind of
Feel some
feel you
pressure.
might
Yeah.
you might feel a certain way where you have to force it a little bit to them, and you don't want to
But
do that. So
as I said, I think the fact that they already established that they're a really good team kind of
mhm,
mitigates that to a bit of a
that's true.
degree. Like, hey, bro, listen, we had a really good season. We made the playoffs without you. We need you to get us, to the next stop. It's not like we're just this 4-13 team where we're looking for you to come in and revamp our whole offense. We're pretty good
Mhm.
as we were. So, and I think I'll be honest with you, to look at it from a Stephon Diggs perspective, it's almost a revival for him because it looks like that Buffalo window was starting to close on him. So
Mhm.
he can go to Houston, a really good young team that has a ton of assets, right? I'm sure they've done really well in the last draft. So, that organization is starting to turn the corner where they're making good decisions. They're drafting really well. They added some key free agents. They re-signed their really nice tight end. So I think it's a little bit of a revival, could be a
Mhm.
revival for Stephon Diggs in terms of keeping his window open to maybe go to a Super Bowl.
Well, is he mature enough now to realize, okay, I'll do whatever it takes for me to get to the Super Bowl, and just not be that, that guy
Hurt
that he
me.
was
Mm.
with Buffalo. I mean,
And later on in Minnesota, even it dates back to a little bit on in his
mhm.
before he went to Buffalo, his last
Yeah,
year or so
because
in Minnesota. He was like,
White Boy Thielen was out targeting
oh,
him.
okay.
And Diggs was like,
Uh,
"Nah, I can't be having that shit. Like, I gotta get up out of here." And so, that's what he wound up doing. But I mean, hopefully he's doing it for the right reasons and, just trying to win the ship, and hopefully he takes whatever role that he has. Now, I don't think he's washed. I want to throw that out there. I don't think like he's necessarily washed. And I know last year, obviously the second half of the season, he wasn't kind of, himself as far
it
as the
wasn't good.
production, but they did change the offense. Like they changed a lot. They didn't necessarily need him to do much. And there were like a lot of big plays that were missed, like a lot of deep balls that weren't caught
Yeah.
where we could have been talking about it a little bit differently if he catches some of those. So I don't think he's washed, but now he's just in a situation where he's basically kind of
Another
just
guy.
capped a little bit, and he's another guy with some great other options on that team as well. So, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we'll talk more. But what do you guys think about Diggs? What do you think about Nico? What do you guys think about Dell right now? Before we get into some of the other guys, but yeah, what are you guys feeling? Are you guys a little bit down on Nico? Are you down on Dell? Are you guys buying into some of these guys right now, where the market is a little bit down on them? We talk about the opportunities right now is an opportunity to try and get some of these guys for cheaper than what they should be going. We're playing Dynasty, right? One year is not a crazy big deal. Like if they're still going to put up wide receiver two production, like you'll get that wide receiver one production hopefully next season. But
So,
get in now while you can.
so 5 out of the last 6 years, he's been a wide receiver one.
Hmm.
3 out of the last 4 years, he's been a top 7 receiver. Obviously, last year, and I'm talking about full PPR, he was wide receiver 9. Even in a very weird season, he was still wide receiver 9.
Could he still be a wide receiver one? Like, yes, but what are you willing to make that bet? Like, if you can get out on him, get out. Like, it's going to be tough to get a first round pick, but go for a
No, I don't think
25 first, like I did. I mean, throw in a second on top, or you get a first back. Like if you got a late second or something, maybe a couple thirds. See if you can kind of maneuver it where you can try and get a first for somebody that still loves Stephon Diggs, who thinks that, going there, he's going to be the number one guy. There's people out there. You won't be able to pull it off in a lot of leagues, but you will in some.
yeah, it's just and I wonder, I don't know if you know this, but it's more of a question, but did he want to go to did he like request Houston? Like how did the Houston thing kind of unfold? I didn't really like hear
Well,
much
I
into
know there
that.
was a lot of cap that they were trying, I guess. And they ate a lot of it. I mean, the Bills. That's the thing. Like they ate even like extra just to get rid of his ass. Like that's another. And then I don't know if you saw they showed something like in the tunnel after like a game early in the season, and Josh Allen, I don't know if it was game 1 or something, and Josh Allen was basically, like, yelling at him, like, "Chill out, bro, like, it's one fucking game," like, you know,
Tell me this, but tell me
and
we
not right
didn't.
here. He's like, "I'm not getting into it with you right here." Like, "No, like, we're not doing this right here."
But tell me, and I said this when we talked about Diggs, and I remember this exact show. I was like, "There's something weird
And
going on. I didn't like the vibe." And this all started
I was wrong, yeah.
2 years ago in that playoff loss to Kansas City, where he made the show on the sideline, and they tried to smooth it over. Oh yeah, we're all buddy buddy, everything's gravy, and they actually played well early this season. 4 out of the first 5 games, he had 5 touch. No, in the first 5 games, he had 5 touchdowns. He had multiple 100-yard games. Like, he came out of the box on fire
And
this season.
yeah, yeah.
But I saw it, bro. Honestly,
He
I
could be
felt
tired
it.
of
I was
losing
like,
to fucking Mahomes too. He's like, "Fuck it, let me try something else."
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, if on your resume is you lost to Mahomes, that's not that big of an
Mhm.
indictment on you, as more as it is Mahomes is really good. But
Yep.
I just think, and I kind of felt this, like I said, at the end 2 seasons ago when they lost to Kansas City and they were arguing on the sideline, or maybe it wasn't Kansas City, might have been Cincinnati. I think that was the Cincinnati game that he was like, that they were beefing on the sideline, and that whole thing was blown out of proportion. But yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't You kind of felt this coming. It felt like a snowball effect that was happening, and more things started coming out and more rumblings, and you're just
Thought they
like,
just
bro,
make up. You know
with
how this shit happens sometimes. But Diggs
where
is
there's smoke,
Diggs
there's
when Diggs
fire.
is mad, he dips. We've
Right.
seen that,
Where
and we've
there's
seen
smoke,
that
there's
before.
fire.
And, yeah, so, we're buying Nico, we're buying Dell, and if you could sell Diggs, I mean, you know, he's one of the guys where one of those older guys where nobody wants any of the old guys, right now, right? The market is not nobody wants to buy,
That's a tough
these
one.
old guys except for us, smart people, because we know it's the cheapest time to get them. Um,
Smart people.
but yeah, I mean, there was nothing on Dick. I think Diaz said something about down here about it. I mean, we'll get to the comments in a second. But yeah, there were no like I wasn't just actively getting offers for Diggs. Nobody wants the older guys, right? So once this trade happened, it just kind of brings him up. And whether it's you think it's good or bad, somebody out there is going to be on the side of thinking that, oh my God, it's CJ Stroud. Stephon Diggs is now the
Mhm.
number one guy. Like, he's the man.
Take
So
advantage. Take
you're definitely
advantage.
trying to take advantage and sell Diggs while you can, because if you wait, you're taking a risk, right? What if he's not the number one guy, right? What if Nico is kind of still busting out and Diggs isn't the guy that is, that is that number one wide receiver? Maybe he's not even giving you wide receiver two production. Maybe he gets hurt. Maybe he pulls a hammy in fucking, preseason or first game. Like, who knows? So, if you can get out now and get something good in return, then, you can try and do that. Like you said, he's been a
Yeah.
top 10 guy, like, how many years in a row? I mean,
For as long, 5 out of the last 6.
right? Spencer, what up, Spencer? Song said they just did a best ball draft, right? Mr. Bakeslide, I think we got the mock full already. I'll check that in a minute. Marty, no problem. I think it folded already. I think we filled it already. Chaotic in the building. CJ Stroud, give me money.
Mhm.
Um, Ghost Monkey, what up? Ghost Monkey, Daniel Berry.
Oh, yeah.
What
All
up,
the
Berry?
usual
Kidda
suspects.
said Nico's fine. He's gonna throw it 650 plus times.
I don't necessarily know if that's a good thing. Like, I listen, CJ Stroud's amazing. We all
Fuck
know
not.
this. But
That's
but
fuck
what I'm
not.
saying is, no, I'm not. I just mean it from the standpoint of, I don't want them to be so, like, force feeding. Like I said, I don't want it to be a
Mm,
force feeding situation, because I think with the offense that they have, if CJ Stroud's in the 500 to 550 range, I'm good with that. Run the ball a little bit with Mixon. I know Mixon's not efficient, but he'll keep them out of third and longs. He'll keep them, in manageable situations. So I don't know if it's a just throw it all over the lot type scenario, but you want to utilize the guys. I just don't want
wouldn't
them to
be afraid.
force it.
I wouldn't be afraid of it just because of the guy that's the type of person that CJ Stroud seems to be. Like, he just
Right.
seems like he's smart. He's not gonna be, influenced in a bad way where, like, it's gonna take away. So if he does gotta throw it that much, like, I'm okay with it. Like, he makes smart decisions, like you mentioned it, right? He only had what? How many interceptions? 5 or whatever
5.
it was. So,
Mhm, and
he's
500.
making the right decision. So I want the ball in his hands, you know?
No, I feel that. I just like I said, my biggest concern with this is that he tries to force it to him a little bit too much instead of letting the offense
Feel
just
you.
unravel naturally and find the guys like he was doing last season. That's my only concern.
I feel you. PB Dubs, what up, PB Dubs? Tiggs is that girl. Your whole friend group tells you not to date and you do anyways.
You know what? That's not a bad comparison because it's like, yeah, I see the potential. I see where this could take me. And then at the
Dell
end of the
guy.
day, it's like, yeah, we told you so.
PB Dub said he's a Dell guy. Yeah, I mean, he's the cheaper of the guys to get, and he's, got the contract. So, I mean, he's there. Been trying
He's
to
got
buy
the
Dell and Nico. This is your sell moment for Diggs. Yep.
The upside for Dell is definitely there because he makes those home run plays, right? He doesn't need 10 targets to be effective. He can,
Mhm.
he can get 5 or 6 targets and go over the top of you and make it a good day. So, I
Right.
think Dell has that, that quality where if you're not paying that much for him, he's a really, really good value because he doesn't need, like I said, 8, 10 targets to be effective.
Mhm. Too many pieces in the Houston Texans passing group for Diggs to be a wide receiver one.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
think we agree with
Exactly.
that.
hmm Nobody wanted. Yeah, right. Nobody did want Diggs before the trade. Then I just started spamming people for 25 first, and it got me one. Nico feels locked into the X. He will at least get the 109 targets. Yeah, at least that's what we
And
think and hope. I mean,
And Nico did that, and he missed 2 games.
yeah,
So,
that's true too.
he could be in that 120, 125 target range if he
All
plays
on
all
one team.
17.
That's rough. I mean, listen, that could do you good
That's spicy,
if
though.
he throws for 5,000 yards and 40 tutties.
So they're gonna be the beneficiary, you damn right.
Bill's pressure to the Rams early 2000s when they were trying to get back to the Super Bowl with Mike Martz. Mixon stock up. So, yeah, what do we feel like about Mixon? I mean, I don't know if his stock necessarily goes up. Like, is it
I think
going to
it's the
be an
same.
even better? Like, there was a good offense regardless. So, is it even a better offense? Does he get more goal line opportunities? Maybe,
That's that's
right?
where I was going. I think he may have he'll still probably average between 3.8 and 4 yards a carry. I don't think the efficiency is really going to go anywhere. He might have those games like on a game to game basis where he averages 4.5 to 5, but I think for the season he'll be in that 3.8 to 4.2 range. But
Mhm.
the goal line opportunities is what's really going to vault his stock dub. So I think listen, Mixon has a 10 touchdown type season in him based on what we know from this offense, the amount of opportunities they're going to get down near the goal line. So,
We
yeah.
saw Singletary be able to run a little bit
Yep,
too.
we did.
So,
We did. We definitely did.
you
So,
know,
yeah, I think Mixon is a really, really good RB2 going into the season and a pretty good value at that, right? Considering
he
that,
is.
he's not in Cincinnati anymore and you could probably get him for virtually nothing, older
hmm
running back, but on a really good offense.
Right. Yep. Exactly. And we'll get into we'll talk about Schultz in a second. Joe Brady, catalyst of Diggs being pushed aside. Yeah. hmm Would buy Diggs. So what are you paying? What are you paying for Diggs? Like, and if we are, if we are thinking like he is just gonna get like wide receiver two ish production, like that's the other thing too, is like the people who have Diggs, like they're not trying to let him go for cheap. Like,
They want to see if people are
at
going
least
to,
I'm
get
not. I mean,
all they want to see
exactly.
if people are going to get excited and overpay. That's what they're trying to
Exactly.
do,
So, depending what you
which
can
is
pay, I guess, but is it worth it going after someone else? Or just almost at that point, you know?
yeah, it's possible, but I would wait it out a little bit. Honestly, I wouldn't go into the first. I would start with a front end second and see if the person will bite.
Mhm.
Hmm.
10-team Superflex playoff team. Give my 25 first. Jaden Reed and the 214. 214. Am I reading that right? Okay. Receive Ayuk,
Mm-hmm.
Mooney, Tolbert. Other wide receivers are London, Wilson, JSN, Judy, and Mims. You're receiving Ayuk, Mooney, and Tolbert. You're giving up your first and Jaden Reed and the 214. I mean, I don't care about Mooney and Tolbert. I mean, it's a 10 team, so you're basically giving up Jaden Reed and a 25 first for Ayuk. It's not horrible. I mean, I'm not mad at it. 10 team, we need a hammer, but is Ayuk necessarily a hammer? Maybe he gets moved. I mean, I like Ayuk, but oh, what do you think?
It's a tough one because you can see Ayuk being productive, but giving up a first and Jaden Reed, the 214, I don't really care about. And like you said, in a 10 team, Mooney and Tolbert aren't really a factor. I see what you're trying to do because, you have London and Wilson. You want to get that third wide receiver kind of locked in. You want that trio. I don't know if you can necessarily count on JSN Judy at this point, week to
Yeah.
week. So I see what you're trying to do.
Can
I
we
would reach
go
a little
after
higher.
Can we give up like a second instead and maybe go a little bit less than Ayuk? Or do we go over Ayuk? Do we go to, one of those top 10-ish kind of guys?
Well,
Can you even get one of those kind of guys?
in a 10 team, it's going to be tough, right? With if this is what you
You got
have to
JSN
offer.
though to play with too. I mean, in a 10
Yeah,
team, like
that's
I'm
true.
okay with he's
That's true.
valuable enough where maybe you can give up him, Reed in the first and go like top tier, top 8 kind of guy, type 8 kind of, who needs some wide receivers, who likes JSN, who wants, who likes the picks. You have an idea somewhat of, what your league is like, right? So,
Yeah, I'm actually
who
not
can
mad
you
at that.
what can you try and do there, right? Just some kind of ideas.
So what do you think that would net you? Just say hypothetically you put JSN Reed and the 25 first. What are you looking at?
I'm trying to get
Waddle?
into some of the top 10 guys. I'm trying to even go higher than Waddle. Can we go,
AJ Brown?
somebody like AJ Brown, where he's a little bit, people are a little bit down on him, right? For whatever reason. I mean, all he's doing is producing, but is he getting a little bit older? Can you go after a guy like AJ Brown, where you already have a London, you have a Wilson, right? You have some young guns, so you can use a little bit of an older guy. And AJ Brown is not even necessarily that old. I mean, he's just in his prime. So
Why not
can we
go
go
for the
after a guy
gusto?
like AJ Brown, where a lot of these younger guys are kind of being ranked over him? Maybe you can get an AJ Brown. That would be a guy
Yeah.
I would target with that, because you need. I want a hammer. I need to get one of those hammer guys that are making a difference.
Yep.
So I think that would be a. It was a 2-8, yeah, 2-8, 218, whatever it was. It don't matter. No problem, Kev. I feel you. But yeah, I would look into some of those options before. Like if that's the best you can do, maybe. But I'm keeping on shopping. You might have to throw JSN in there, especially in the 10 teams. Like you got to pay extra. Like, the values are different. Like you have to pay more if you're trying to get one of these difference makers, because those are the guys that are going to make a difference.
For sure.
Right. Ghost Monkey says crazy wide receiver room if Diggs buys into a ship running. That's true.
Mhm.
Schultz, yeah, let's talk about Schultz real quick, because I do feel like he gets hurt a lot too. Kevin says it here. He'll probably lose the most because you've got these wide receivers here. So yeah, is Schultz necessarily a good buy low kind of guy? Where if you don't have one of the top tight ends, can you move down, pick up an asset or so, and get and play Dalton Schultz? Like, you know, can
That's
I go from Ferguson to like a Schultz? Can I, something like that?
that's tough because I think, and I definitely agree with Kevin here, is that Schultz is the and as Jamie's saying in the chat right now, the value is just it's not going to be good. You know what I mean? Because we literally, who did we just talk about at the goal line? Joe Mixon. You know what I mean? And his propensity to get into the end zone. in the goal line, and that doesn't even include a red zone threat like a Nico Collins. So, I do hate it for Dalton Schultz, but I still listen. I think he's going to make his plays, but he's not going to retain that value like we thought when he re-signed. Because remember, a month and a half ago when he re-signed, 2 months ago when he re-signed, we all loved it, and we were like, "Yo, Dalton Schultz, a viable tight end one in a 12-team league." We felt really good about that. But now you kind of, we were talking about the established guys and Nico Collins and Tank Dell being capped a little bit. Obviously, that applies even more so to Dalton Schultz, in my opinion.
Right, for sure. No, Jamie, you didn't miss it. We're doing the mock in about 20 minutes. So we're gonna get through. I mean, we talked about Nico, Dell, Mixon, Schultz. We'll talk about Stroud, and we'll talk about I guess Josh Allen real quick too. Diaz said pencil and Mixon for his once a year four tutty game. That happens always against him.
Diaz, we all have that player out there that just shreds us no matter what when we play them. Mine is Gabe Davis. Anytime I go against Gabe Davis, he absolutely torches me, and it's just bullshit every time. So I feel your pain on that one.
Us, Jamie was good. Yeah, Schultz is ass value. That's why it's tough to sell him because you're not really getting much for him. So
nope.
Would you give Reed and Laporta for Herbert in a Superflex 12 man? Yeah, I give if you can give up a tight end and like a wide receiver 2 for a quarterback like Herbert, like yeah, I'm doing that. Typically,
Because
tight ends, like nobody wants tight end. Even if you're the number 1 tight end in Dynasty, like you know how hard it is to get a top quarterback, even if it's just because it's a tight end, like people don't want them. People don't value them that high, even though they are pretty valuable.
no, that's fair. Yeah, if you're in a super flex 12 man and you're landing Herbert, that's got to be good. I would Laporte is my guy, and obviously Jaden Reed is my guy because he's on my team. So these are two of my guys. But in a super flex 12 man, if you're getting Herbert, there's definitely value to be had there.
Santos, Hurts and Dell for Josh Allen. Sure, give me Josh Allen. So it's only going to cost you Dell. I'll take it.
Josh Allen's still going to be pretty dirty.
Pulled Josh Allen for 105 and Waddle.
Some bitch ass noob. Jamie, that's fucking funny.
All right, so for CJ Stroud, I mean, what does this do for him? He's obviously vaulted up the rankings. Like, I mean,
he was already vaulting up the rankings.
QB 1, 2. I don't even know what he is right now, but hold on. I think he's at like 2, 3, maybe. Yeah, he's at 3. So Mahomes, Allen, and then you got CJ Stroud up there. So, but we've seen this before, right? Multiple times where the QBs get vaulted up, right? And then they it's the best way to say it, come down to earth. Like the Joe Burrows, the Herberts, right? These guys were up there, right? When they had their seasons, right? What if CJ Stroud doesn't have a top 3 season? What if he finishes like Herbert, or what if he pulls like a Mahomes, finishes like QB8, QB9? Like what happens then? Then he gets pushed down, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the things, and I talked about this before, the things I liked about CJ Stroud the most is that he took care of the ball. So adding really good players to your team is not going to hurt. And Stephon Diggs is still a really good player. So, and I think and we're also forgetting he was only a rookie. Like he's going to get better, in our estimation. The guys you mentioned, like Joe Burrow, got better, right? Justin Herbert got better. Now there were some unfortunate circumstances surrounding the team, injuries, et cetera, issues with weapons in Justin Herbert's case, but the talent is still there. And I think they're running a really good ship in Houston with what they literally overhauled their entire organization in one season. And it seems like they have the right pieces in place, from head coach to quarterback. GM obviously did a really good job with the draft and getting the guys in there that they needed to get in there. So I don't worry about that. That regression that you're talking about.
Not necessarily regression, but just in like where he finishes, right? I mean,
okay.
if he doesn't finish like in the top 3, like how are people really going to start perceiving it? What if he finishes as like QB8? Like then what happens? Like are we again having this conversation between like Burrow and Hurts and some of these other top QBs? Like does he move down a little bit like at that point? Like, Lamar, like what if Burrow throws for 40 tutties, finishes as a top 5 QB? But CJ Stroud doesn't.
Yeah, there's always
Like
that big
is
if.
it I guess my question is it the peak time where CJ Stroud becomes a sell? Where can I move down to a Joe Burrow or a Justin Herbert, or even a Jalen Hurts, a Jordan Love, a Kyler Murray? Like,
So here's my
can I
question.
move down and take, whether that's a second, a first, or some kind of piece or pick on top? Like where I'm moving
And
down, still getting hopefully similar production, but picking up the assets on top. Like,
so you could look at both sides of the coin, right? Like you
mhm.
could say, what if he goes the route of, like you said, I don't really look at Joe Burrow in that conversation. I think the better comp would be Trevor Lawrence, right? Like I feel like
Yeah.
that's a little bit of a better kind of comp where we raising him up, raising him up, raising him up. He had that good playoff run a couple of years ago and then just fell off the map the very next season when the expectations were there now. So I think Trevor Lawrence is that kind of good comp where you don't want to lose all of that value that you had in virtually one season. But you can also look at it from the flip side. Would you have felt this way? Did you feel this way about Patrick Mahomes after his first year? Did you feel
Well,
that
I
way
think my
about
point. I
Josh
think what I'm
Allen after he had his breakout?
I think that well, I mean, those guys are a little different than any of the
Well, I'm
other
saying
guys,
at
but
that time. I'm saying at
but
that
like
time, like,
because
it
they're
took them
young
some
and
time to be who they
yeah,
were.
but because they're young and they produce, and then something happens, whether it's an injury or they don't finish well, like now people are back on like Patrick Mahomes, but when he didn't finish like as the top 5 QB or top 3 QB that we wanted to, like people were just pushing him down, like all of a sudden, so. I'm just saying that he has to produce the top 5, top 3 season. He has to produce that for him to keep his value.
Mhm.
And if he doesn't, I'm just saying if he doesn't, then, he's the same as, now with Burrow, and now it's all conversations again with Lamar and Hurts, and, who do you put over the other? If it's hard to go by the age with the quarterback because they can play so much longer than like any
Right.
other position, right? So, if you just want to go by age and say that's why we want to put CJ Stroud up there, like that's totally fine. But if we're talking about the production that we're getting from QBs, like is there really like do you really think that in a full healthy season, like how much difference is there between a CJ Stroud and a Joe Burrow?
I think Joe Burrow potentially could have the higher ceiling, but now we're
It's
taking other things into factor, right? We're taking the T Higgins situation into factor. We're taking, what CJ Stroud just acquired. So I think like all of those things do come into play, not just the quarterback themselves. And I think what we tend to sometimes overlook is all of the ancillary parts that move around these quarterbacks sometimes, because we all know, listen, all these guys we just mentioned, Mahomes, Burrow, Stroud, Allen, Hurts, like they're all amazing, right? Like we kind of
Mhm.
know that. It's all the ancillary parts that move around them that we don't necessarily always say, well, there's a reason why Mahomes wasn't blah blah blah. Now we knew, but the year before that, he threw for 40 touchdowns and 5,000 yards and was QB1 without Tyreek Hill. So
Mhm.
it's very fickle, don't get me wrong, but it's a gamble, right? You're rolling the dice. And I think Diaz kind of pointed out what he was doing. He rolled the dice and it ended up backfiring on him at the end of his rolling of the dice. He kept rolling the dice too much.
Well, he went to T-Law. What I'm saying is T-Law was not really a proven, 30, 40 tutty guy. Like I'm talking about
Right,
like a Joe
right,
Burrow,
right.
a Justin Herbert, even a Kyler Murray, right? I think he's even a little bit undervalued because we just haven't seen him. Um, but if you can get, some kind of second or even like a first, especially right now, like can you move down to like a Kyler, Jordan Love, Anthony Richardson, Justin Herbert for like getting a and I'm just talking about playing the market. I'm not saying that I don't like CJ Stroud or I don't think he's going to do well. That's not what
Taking
I'm saying
advantage
at
of the
all. I'm
perceived
just simply
value is
trying
what
to
you're saying.
play the market and take advantage of the value, because I think that possibly after this season it's going to be a lot closer. I don't think that Stroud is just going to be vaulted so much above some of these other guys. And I just think that's just going to come to, I just think it's going to be a lot closer at some point. So can you take advantage of the value difference that there is right now? You know,
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with looking at it from that perspective. But what if CJ Stroud does turn into Joe Burrow from a couple of years ago and has that 45 touchdown type season? And you know what I mean? You don't want to.
that's great. That's great. But, is he going to continue to have 45 plus tutties, or where's Burrow at? Is Burrow's going to be right? He's got a star receiver with him. So I just don't know how much the difference is going to be at the end of the day. Is it going to be big enough where, you want to just get that first or that second, some kind of piece on top where, the production might be similar.
Yeah, no, I could feel the thing
Maybe
is
it's
that
just me.
you could really understand both sides of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of just what I was trying to argue, really both sides of the coin, because I think we all think CJ
There you
Stroud's going to
go.
be really good for a long time.
Amy said Kyler Murray and the 106 for Stroud, 104 and Murray for Stroud to get Neighbors. Yeah. I mean, depending what's out there, like people really want Stroud and people are willing to pay. Like if people are willing to pay, see how much you can get out of them. If it's only going to be a second, then maybe you don't want to do that. But if you're pushing and you can get more, then you push to get more. And then as far as Josh Allen is concerned, I mean, I think Josh Allen's okay. We saw what he did, second half of the season without much of Diggs's help. He still produced as a top quarterback. So I'm not necessarily worried about Josh Allen. They'll find some weapons for to get in there. So if there's an opportunity to buy Josh Allen, I'd like to look into that. Like, are people a little bit down that he doesn't have wide receivers? Same kind of thing with Justin Herbert, right? But yeah, what do you think about Josh Allen? Do you think he's okay, or should we be worrying about Josh Allen for you?
I'm worrying a little bit just because it obviously his two top guys are out the door. Gabe Davis, for whatever you want, was one of Josh Allen's guys and has been there for a while, and Stephon Diggs. So I think there is going to be a little bit of an adjustment period. Now, I think the thing that buoys Josh Allen is obviously the rushing upside is insane. So that's going to buoy any lack of passing production or a downtick in passing production that could potentially be there. um but yeah, listen, I think it's going to be an adjustment. I don't think that the value is as high, like you said, um, and where Josh Allen might be available now when he normally wasn't, right? Some people panic, right? We do this all the time. Anytime there's a big move, anything happens, people panic. So can you take advantage and get a Josh Allen? We just saw Jamie threw it in there where somebody gave up Josh Allen for a bag of peanuts, essentially, right? So people panic and do dumb shit. Can you be on the plus side of that and get a Josh Allen for one first round pick plus something else? I would love that.
I mean, that pretty much covers that particular move. So before we get into the rookie draft, let's take a look at the mock that we're going to go off of. And this is from Tankathon. There's 3 rounds here. I tried to make it as big as I can so everybody can see it here. But we're
Oh yeah, this is the
we're
one
gonna
I
base
used.
our rookie mock draft off of this mock draft. So these are gonna be the landing spots, right? Caleb going to the Bears, Jaden Daniels going to
Mm-hmm.
Washington, Drake May going to the Patriots, Marvin going to the Cardinals, Malik Neighbors going to the Chargers, JJ McCarthy to the Giants, Odunze to the Bears, Bowers to the Jets. Okay. We've got Brian Thomas to the Jaguars. They could use another wide receiver after losing Ridley. I can see that.
They picked up
We've
Gabe
got
Davis.
Yeah, but who the fuck is Gabe Davis? Come on,
I
bro.
was I was trying to
Now
get
we
you
got
started.
Michael Penix going to the Vikings. So the Vikings wait on QB and take
Ooh.
Penix. There's a lot of talk now about Penix and Knicks going in the first round, somewhere in the top 20-ish picks. It's interesting what's going to happen after Denver's pick, after the Raiders pick, like are they going QB? Like can the Vikings wait and grab like a Penix or a Knicks later on? I really like Penix. I think he's a smooth thrower of the football. Reminds me a little bit of like Tua from that lefty-ish kind of thing. Not
Mhm.
just a pocket QB, on target guy that can throw the football. So we'll see what happens there. We've got Adonai Mitchell to the Bills. That's a good spot. So Adonai Mitchell, and of course Lad McConkey to the damn Chiefs.
Mm.
So McConkey goes to the Chiefs. Worthy goes to the Panthers. Troy Franklin goes to the Patriots. I know we've got some running backs that come up somewhere. Here's Bo Nix going to the Raiders in the second round.
Mhm.
Jonathan Brooks to the Giants.
Ooh.
Jatavian Sanders to the Bengals. That's a nice spot for him too. Keon Coleman to the Steelers.
We know how they churn out wide receivers.
Roman Wilson to the Eagles. Oh, that sucks. I don't like that spot. But Trey Benson to the Cowboys. So we've been thinking the Cowboys might draft somebody in this second round, a running back. There goes Trey Benson. I mean, people are going to go crazy about that.
Make it
Any
bigger,
running
Steve.
back, huh?
Make the screen bigger.
Bigger? I don't think I can.
Yeah, it's hard to see. A
That
little bit more.
better?
A little more.
Oh shit! I
All right, you could just
missed.
scroll up and down. There you go. That's a little better.
All right. So Roman Wilson to the Eagles, Trey Benson to the Cowboys, Ricky Pearsall to the Ravens, Jalen Wright to the Cardinals. I like that. Blake Corum to the Chargers, of course. Everybody's putting them to the Chargers. Xavier Leggett to the Giants as well. Jalen Polk to the Cardinals. I mean, that's some decent spots. Malachi Corley to the Lions. I don't love that. Jermaine Burton to the Falcons. Hez Walker to the Commanders. That wraps that up. But yeah, I mean, some interesting landing spots. What do you guys think about some of these landing spots here? Bowers to the Jets. I know I've got Ruckert in a few leagues. I'm hoping they don't grab Bowers.
Mhm.
I mean, they got other things they need to do.
So I
Hodor,
think,
what up, Hodor? Hopefully you can see that now.
yeah, that's why I said make it a little bigger. Yeah, you could definitely see it a little better that it's zoomed in. I think really quick, there's been some, especially with the trades and what's going on with the Chargers. The Chargers were penciled in for Bowers for the longest in this
Mhm,
in this mock here. And then obviously with them trading out, them trading Keenan and cutting Mikey, they need a wide receiver. And Malik Neighbors feels like a really, really good landing spot there. But interestingly enough, I've heard a lot of rumblings about Arizona potentially trading out of 4. And
mhm,
Marvin Harrison could be up for grabs. Now, I think we virtually had the top 4 kind of locked in for quite some time now. So I'd be really interested to see, because I do think the top 3 are going to go quarterback. I know there was also some talk about New England potentially moving out of that
mhm.
3 spot. I don't think that would be smart for them, but who knows with what's going on. They had a complete overhaul in New England. So anything could happen. But I do think the top 3 are locked in. I'll be really interested to see what the Cardinals decide to do at
Thanks.
4.
Yeah, yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Jamie, you can go off of whatever you want if you want. If you just want to go off your profiles, I also put it in the chat on also put it in the chat on Sleeper, and I'll put it in the chat here also. This way, you guys can take a look at it if you want. But let me bring up Sleeper.
Oh, nice. Tell me I could bring up Sleeper and split view. No.
See if I can make this big enough where we can see everything. I don't know how much bigger I can make it than that, but let me know if that's good, if y'all can see that. Otherwise, I'll try and just zoom in little by little, pick by pick here. It is set to Superflex.
What the fuck?
At least it should be. If
We
not,
got one more.
just search it
There's
up.
one. There's one more stop. There's one more spot.
Oh, we need one more in here. Okay, hold up. Let me get the link. I'm gonna post it in the chat, so whoever wants to get in, hop in. Doug, what up, Doug? Neck cracks for Doug.
I did one a little earlier. I needed it.
But yeah, we need one more. So whoever's out there that wants to hop in real quick. And we will randomize and start it as soon as we could fill it. Appreciate you, Doug. Appreciate everybody, of course.
Yes,
but yeah,
sir.
let's get the last spot filled. I put it in the chat there. We need one more.
I think
We got
Marty
enough
did
people
that.
watching. Somebody hop in. Check the chat. There we go. Diaz. All right. Let's
Diaz to the rescue.
Diaz. What am I doing here? Draft order. Randomize. Boom. Ooh, Hammer got the 1-1. All right,
Hey,
guys,
now.
y'all ready? Let's get this bad boy started, and we'll just talk through it along the way.
Anybody want to trade with me? I'm listening to trade offers as
This guy. And I mean, has anybody out there traded the 101? What have you traded it for? And Hammer goes Marvin at the 1-1. Diaz takes Caleb. It is super flex, so you write it in here also just to make sure. But we've said we'll do the wide
There could be
receivers
some
go
interesting.
before
Yep,
some of these QBs that are
we
not
did
in the
talk about
greatest
that.
spots because we're afraid that they might not hit. Like, because Neighbors might have not have a great season, or Marvin Harrison might not have a great season, but with their prospect profile and what we think of them, and it might be a situation where we just start making the excuses like we do for everybody else, right? Garrett Wilson, Olave, and some. They're still JSN. They're still ranked high.
And they're still
So
they're gonna have.
even if you necessarily say miss that first year with the wide receiver, it's not as much of a value hit as it is for that QB, like we saw with Bryce Young.
Yep, and the perceived value I feel like holds for wide receivers a little bit longer than it does for quarterbacks. Like teams will turn over a quarterback in 2 to 3 years if it's not working out.
Right.
Where receivers, we talked about having a little bit of a longer leash. Maybe their quarterback situation isn't that great, but we still see the profile, the talent. Drake London's the perfect example.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Say McCarthy
And
goes
now
to the Giants.
and now Drake London has a quarterback.
Me and Penix to the Vikings
Does that excite you?
yeah. Especially that like they get him in this mock. Apparently, they get him at 23. We didn't have to waste the picks and move up, right?
Yeah,
And we
that's a
get
good
a
point.
guy that can play quarterback now. Obviously, he's had injury concerns, the shoulder, the knees,
But
but
he
are
has a
we
good
past
supporting
that? I
cast.
mean, he
He has
is
a
a
good supporting
quarterback,
cast.
right? He's not a running quarterback, and he just ran like a 4.3, which I don't think anybody saw that shit coming.
Mm-hmm.
Which was crazy, but
come on.
There goes Odunze. So, Daniels, May, Bowers goes a little bit before Odunze. And is that because of where he went, right? Where does he go here? He goes to the Bears, I think, right? At 9. Yeah, he goes to the Bears now, joining, a pretty crowded wide receiver room.
Yep, I was getting ready to say that, but
right?
I think that's still pretty decent value at the 1.7.
Brian
You know,
Thomas, I like
Keen
that.
and
There goes
also
there goes
with
Penix. Yep, I would have took Penix. I'm surprised he even lasted that long, to be honest. I mean, going to the Vikings, right? I mean, JJ McCarthy goes to the Giants, and nobody's taken him yet. You've got Worthy, Frank, Lad McConkey goes to the Chiefs. I mean, who's not taking Lad if you can get him here at the back end going to the Chiefs, but McCarthy is a quarterback, so you can go McCarthy. Do you believe in McCarthy? Do you believe in the Giants? Like, how do we feel about that?
I'm not crazy
And
about it because the coverage pretty bad there.
And I think as we keep getting closer, these quarterbacks, Penix, McCarthy, I think, even Bo Nix, depending where he gets drafted, we could see 6 quarterbacks like in
In
the
the first
first
round.
round, which
Yep.
crowds up the super flex. I mean,
It makes
Benson
it
is an
better
awesome
value.
Benson is an awesome pick for the Cow. You're getting the Cowboys running back in the second round. Like, there's going to be some good value, especially in the second round of drafts. Second round, even the third round. Like, you're going to see some really good value. And I forgot where some of these guys even went. I'll try and. So Adonai Mitchell was to the Bills, McConkey to the Chiefs, Worthy to the Panthers, Troy Franklin to the Patriots, Bo Nix to the Raiders in the second round, Jonathan Brooks to the Giants, Jatavian Sanders to the Bengals, Keon Coleman to the Steelers, Roman Wilson to the Eagles, Trey Benson to the Cowboys, Ricky Pearsall to the Ravens, Blake Corum to the Chargers, Leggett to the Giants, Jalen Polk to the Cardinals. Jonathan Brooks, I like that pick too. Even though he's going to the Giants, like I still like it. Like, it seems like he could be one of the, can he be the workhorse guy there? They've got fucking nobody else, right? How early is he able to play though? When is he ready? Is he ready for the start of the season?
Sleeper stepping their game up.
Yeah, there goes Corum. Okay, Braylon Allen. I don't think he got picked in this particular mock, but let's go through some of the other ones just so we can remind. Tez Walker to Washington. Jalen Wright to the Cardinals. Ricky Pearsall to the Ravens. Keon Lloyd didn't get picked in there yet. Yeah, I know the auto. I traded Ayuk and Olave for the 1-1, the 110, and 3-1, and the 302. All right, yeah, I'm not mad at that. That's awesome. And you can move the 101 if you want. You got plenty of options. Roman Wilson went to the Eagles in this particular mock, which I don't love, right? You got a crowded wide receiver room, a team that does like to run the football. You got Saquon there now. So I really don't like that spot for Roman Wilson. And I'm a fan of Roman Wilson. I mean, I've had him in my top 12 for months. There goes Keon Coleman. Let's see what we're gonna do here. Jalen Polk. I like
Arizona, right?
Yeah, and then Jalen Wright went to Arizona too. So I mean, give me Jalen Wright though. I'll take the RB here. There goes Sanders. But yeah, see, I mean, now we're getting into the third round, and there's still some good talent. I mean, I like Polk, I like Walker. You got Rice has came up the boards, Pearsall, Corley, who doesn't go to a good spot in this draft. Where did I say he went? Walker went to Washington. Corley went to the Lions, so that's tough with the weapons that they got there. Right, was my
Jamie
pick if
brings
I didn't go Roman. Yeah.
Jamie actually brings up a really good
AJ Brown,
point
yeah.
with the Eagles and AJ Brown.
Is this a Steph Diggs fucking situation? I mean,
I don't know, man. I heard some
there
weird
is something.
rumblings too.
There was some weird shit happen. I heard like AJ Brown fuck somebody's wife or some shit like that. I heard some crazy shit
I
like that.
I
Some
heard
kind of
some
shit
weird
went
stuff. Yeah.
down like of that nature where it
And
just
you
like
could feel
affected the
the
team.
team just that's
Now,
wild, bro.
whether that's true or not, who knows? But something happened, obviously.
Because
Who
that
knows
team went to shit.
relatively what it
Yeah.
was? But
Mhm. It does have a Stephon
Bucky Irving,
Diggs-ish
okay.
type of feel
I
to it.
like I like Bucky. I mean, he didn't have a great combine, a little bit slower than we thought, but it just depends. A lot of these running backs, especially, just really depends on where they wind up going. You know, are they going to have an opportunity? But Benson, Brooks, I mean, Jalen Wright, Corum, like these are all great landing spots right now for all of these guys. There goes McMillan. I like McMillan as well. Rattler goes down there, Marshawn Lloyd. And you're getting these guys in like the third round. Now, you know, and we talk about it too, right? How many of these guys are going to actually hit? A lot of these guys are not going to. It's just that's just the reality of it. They're not going to give you that wide receiver one production you want, or that wide receiver even two production, or RB production. Like some of these guys are going to miss. You have to be, you know, realistic and understand that, you know, the Pukas of the world, the Tank Dells of the world, right? I mean, these are outliers. Like these don't happen every year. It doesn't happen like that. Is it going to happen more now? Possibly, depending on situations, the way that, you know, the NFL's throwing the football and all that. I mean, it's possible. Like a lot of these guys have talent. I mean, you know, Jalen Polk, McMillan. I mean, these guys got 1,000-yard seasons under their belt. I mean, Pearsall, all these guys can play. Troy Franklin is falling a little bit, which I love the value there at the 2.5, but he does go to New England in this particular draft. So, you know, how happy are we about that? I know Hammer hates anybody that goes to New England, and I'm supposed to be picking, and
Mhm.
I'm talking my ass off over here.
You got autoed.
Fuck, I missed it. All right, whatever. I would have took Javon Baker actually, and there he goes. Shinbone takes him. Good pick, Shinbone. I like that. I would have took Baker there.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of the whole New England situation. It's not good right now, right? They're
Oh,
in a complete rebuild.
mhm.
So, especially if it's Drake May, I'm like, bro, what weapons do they have there? Like, there's
Mhm.
nothing there, literally
Mm.
nothing.
Yeah, I like that pick, Jamie McMillan. I'm a big fan of McMillan, Polk. I mean, Odunze. I'm a big fan of all of them, and I think they're kind of being undervalued right now. I mean, McMillan was hurt, but he could have put up another, you know, what 1,000-yard season. Yeah, Baker. I like Javon Baker. He was one of my sleepers from early on, and he's been really climbing up, you know, climbing up boards right now. Leggett is interesting, big guy. I mean, compared to like an AJ Brown, DK Metcalf type, like just with his size, but he's only had 1 year of college production. And that was like he was a fifth year senior when he broke out. So like, you know, what does that tell you? How confident are you? I mean, the odds are against him as far as, you know, when you just look at history and guys that, you know, perform that late and have that late of a breakout age. But, you know, does he wind up coming along? I mean, there's talks of him possibly going even like first round, but Johnny Wilson, Steve Smith did not have good things to say about Johnny Wilson, who is more built like a tight end. I mean, can I show the player card?
6'7",
Yeah, he's
237.
fucking huge. 6'7", 237. He fucking is fast as hell. Um,
That's like Megatron type shit.
yeah, his 40 was ridiculous. For his size, which I can't remember what it was, 4.52 for a fucking huge guy. I don't think anybody expected that. I'm on auto pick. Fuck it. All right, you guys have fun. I'm too busy fucking
Mm.
talking over here. How do I get my shit even off of auto pick? I can't even see this shit. It's- huh, All right. Garendo. I mean, he killed the combine. Cowing's a good pick. I like Cowing. Thrash. We'll go with Garendo, the guy that basically broke the combine. Mm. Nice. Nice. Malik Washington, yeah. Malik Washington is an awesome sleeper. I had him in early too. He's a good slot guy, I think, and now he's getting a lot of praise. People are talking about him now. So yeah, I like the Malik Washington pick because I think he's gonna go relatively early in the draft. I think he'll be, not crazy early, but I think he'll be in a good spot. If he can go like third roundish in the NFL draft. But yeah, I mean, Hammer, you go 1-1, you go with Marvin Harrison instead of the quarterback. I mean, talk to us. What are you feeling?
I mean, like you said, there's some of the situations that I'm not crazy about. And I do like the wide receiver like listen, in a super flex, the quarterbacks, especially in the first round, are gonna be incredibly, incredibly valuable. But at the end of the day, I like me some Marvin Harrison. I think overall, especially with the wide receivers. And for me, you could go either way. You can make the argument either way. Um, but yeah, I was just feeling Marvin Harrison this time. Maybe next draft I'll go Caleb and it'll be different. So I was just feeling
Mix it up a little bit.
Marvin this time to see, as you like to say, diversify my portfolio. And yeah, it'd be nice to see It would be nice to see Marvin in my lineup on a week to week basis.
Right. Nikki, what's up, Nikki? I'm a Nico owner. Shit, what do I do? We did speak about it earlier, but just hold him. I mean, you're not going to get what you want from him right now. Don't be crazy worried about it.
Don't
Does he
panic.
have the?
Yeah.
Don't panic, right? Does he have the wide receiver one upside for this particular season? Probably not with all those guys there, but that's okay. Just hold him, and we wait for the long run. Let's see what happens after the season. Whether he's tagged, he gets a contract. What happens with Diggs. We'll kind of see from there. If you are scared, then maybe you can come off to something of like similar value in a similar kind of range. Someone you feel more comfortable with, maybe like I don't know, an Ayukish or a Waddle or somebody in that particular range, right?
Michael
But for
Pittman
me,
would
I
be
mean,
a good target.
Michael Pittman. But for me, I mean, I'm holding Nico. I'm holding Nico right now. I don't want to sell him and get less than what I think I should get for him or think that he's worth. So depending
I tend
on,
to agree.
how you feel, I think you can do any of those kind of scenarios.
Yeah, I tend to agree. The biggest thing is don't panic, right?
Mhm.
Let the dust settle a little bit. The draft is coming up in 2 weeks. Let things settle. We're incredibly far from the season still, so don't make a panic move just yet.
Exactly.
Man, the
My
draft
boy
is 2 weeks
Thrash,
away,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah. I mean, in the later rounds, I like to take some of the running backs, take shots on some of the running backs. I mean, if you got multiple picks, you can take some wide receivers down there, but sometimes you got a better chance of one of the running backs hitting or giving you a start or two, than you do, some of these guys deep down, unless it was the Pukas or the Dells like of last year. And you're gonna get that every once in a while, but just see what's going on with the situations. Giants fan, what's up? Just popped in and hit the like button.
Hey,
Appreciate you.
we love that.
Appreciate you, Giants fan. Jamie said, "Let's do another mock." How many people we got in here? I mean, if we can fill it up real quick. Yeah, hold on. See what we got. Can I? Whoa. Let's see if I can open up another mock. All right, boom. Everything should relatively be the same here. Copy invite link. I'll post it in. If we can get it full, let's do another one. I mean, I think we got plenty of people in here. And I posted in the chat. Just hop in real quick. Hey, Hammer, you got in? I'm trying to find you and just invite you.
Yeah,
But everybody hop in if you wanna get in another one. See how quick we could fill it up. We've got a total of 41 eyeballs in here and from all the different streaming services. So appreciate everybody out there. But yeah, hop in.
Yeah, they're filling up pretty quick.
Other...
We got 6 more.
And yeah, if we could fill this up right quick, then let me try and invite, I guess, some other peeps in here too. See who's out there. I'm just inviting everybody now. And we'll start as soon as it's full. I mean, we're almost there. We got 3 more slots.
Mm-hmm.
I think I gotta change the name of this. Change the name of it right quick. Boom. Let's go. We need 3 more. Send out some invites. Change it to linear. Oh shit. Why does it not just copy off the shit I had from last update? There we go. Appreciate you, Jamie. Let's go. 3 more, guys. 3 more. Let me post it in the post it on Instagram real quick and see if we can get 3 more. Copy. Post it in the Discord as well. All right, let's get 3 more and then start this bad boy up. As soon as we're full, we'll just randomize it real quick and start it.
Come on, party people. Let's get this. Let's get this rolling.
Not the one. Share. There it is. Boom. I'm high as a giraffe vagina. Right, Jamie.
Jamie living his best life. I can appreciate that.
But yeah, I mean, when we're talking about the running backs, like and the quarterbacks, right? Getting into that first round of these super flex mocks, pushing guys back. I think is huge if we do see Penix and Knicks go in the first round. These teams need quarterbacks, right? The Raiders, Broncos, the Vikings. I mean, you know, the Giants.
I'm telling you, bro.
Right?
I'm telling you, bro. The I totally forgot what I was going to say, and I'm not even high or anything. Yeah, those guys pushing it makes those, like you said, those seconds and thirds that much more valuable. And the landing spots, that was going to be what I was going to say. The landing spots, right? Like they push guys up where you can get those good second and third round picks that can be of some value. So
Right.
for me, I'm a big landing spot guy. I think the landing spot is very, very crucial to some of these guys, right? Because you see a Malik Neighbors, obviously he was going to get drafted in the top 3 or 4 anyway. But maybe now that we know he's going to the Chargers and he virtually can get number 1 wide receiver targets going in,
Right.
you love that even more now. So, and then on the flip side, what you were talking about was the quarterbacks getting pushed down a little bit because you don't like Drake May to New England. You may not like Jaden Daniels to Washington. You may not like JJ McCarthy to the Giants. Like, so a
And
lot of that landing spot.
And do you like Odunze to the Bears, where you got Keenan there? It's kind of one of those. Is that a JSN? Is that like a JSN almost, kind of like where you've got two great guys in front of you? Like,
You could look at it, but JSN, that's a little bit of a, well, not really, because Tyler Lockett's a lot older, but Keenan Allen has a big injury history as he's gotten into these last couple of years. So I do think there will be an opportunity like there was last year for QJ, right? I talked about that, where I thought QJ was going to have a big opportunity. Now, he didn't capitalize on that like we thought he would, but the opportunity was there with the injury to Mikey Will and to Keenan. So I'm okay with Odunze going to the Bears. That's more of a longer term, and he's going to be tied to the young quarterback Caleb. So I'm fairly comfortable with that, especially if you're getting him at 105, 106. Like if he falls down into that 105, 106, 7 range, I could live with that.
All right. Jamie's in. All right. Always draft talent over situation. We do talk about that a lot too. And the situation does matter as well, but there's so many like variables, right? There's so many variables about it, right? Situations change all the time, right?
I agree. I don't disagree. It just makes me feel better. I don't know
for
if that's...
for sure. But I mean, there's instances in both cases where, when you went and drafted the CEHs, right? Or you went and or you didn't draft AJ Brown, right? Because of where he went, right? And now, look, and we drafted, right, Sky Moore, right? Rashid Rice, all these guys were pushed up. Love Odunze to the Bears. Allen's old. Yeah. Yeah, but how people are, how GMs are, they have that, this new, like this redraft mentality, this no patience mentality. Oh no, he goes to the Bears. There's 2 guys there. Like people automatically are just going to push it off, or take other guys over. So, Quentin Johnson was another good one, but to be fair, he was more of a project to even begin with, and we kind of knew that, and we still don't give him the benefit of the doubt. We still like, fuck, he's a bust. But yeah, I mean, we still need 3. I'm about to just start it and let it go, randomize. If you want to switch to the I was gonna say, if you want to switch to the back real quick, pause, hop in on the end if you want.
Yes. Oh,
I'm gonna put myself on the 4. Yeah, move if you want to, and we're about to start it up real quick before we get up out of here. But yeah, appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Appreciate everybody joining the draft. Let me pull this up.
Yeah, dog.
I think I started it. Mook Bang started off. Mook Bang and my girl, my guy. It's the late night, unfiltered, unhinged.
That's it.
I can't remember where I got that from, but for some reason that was in my head.
I feel like I've heard that before too. Now that you mention,
I know. I just don't know where it's from.
Unfiltered,
no idea. Well, credit to wherever it's from. I've heard it from somewhere. I didn't just make it up. So,
ooh.
Malik going at 1. Okay. I don't think I specified Superflex, but it is Superflex. Maybe I'll do some 1 QBs during the week so we can get some 1 QBs going for everybody who loves the 1 QBs out there.
Jamie's upset. He was going to take Neighbors at 2.
Was he?
I mean, Marvin Harrison's not
because I'm the champ. D, I told you get back there if you wanted to.
Marvin Harrison's not a bad consolation prize, Jamie.
Oh, it's my pick. It's my pick.
Yeah, stop running your mouth and make your pick.
Shut your mouth. Now, this is where do you go with the upside of Jaden Daniels, or like what if Penix really does go to the Vikings? Like, are we putting up Penix into one of these?
You make the Vikings seem like they're this ready-made situation to drop in, and
you've got all the weapons fucking there already. I'm still taking Jaden Daniels, but shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Okay?
So what are we talking about?
I should have just took Penix. If Penix goes to the Vikings, I'm taking Penix there. Okay. But yeah, you've got the weapons around you. You've got Addison. You've got JJ. You've got a hurt Hawkinson, obviously, but you've got weapons there. You've got guys that you can throw the football to, in like a passing offense. I mean. So yeah, I think that if Penix does go to the Vikings, like, is there an argument to make him the QB2 off the board?
No. You think the Vikings are just this godsend team that
I'm just saying, bro. Is that not the best situation? Is it not a great situation?
All right, whatever. Bo Nix is going to be who's a good lefty? Good thrower. I don't know if Dan Fouts was a lefty.
Who?
A good lefty thrower. Steve Young. Bo Nix is going to be the next Steve Young if he goes to.
Or what was the other one? Mark Brunell.
Nah, Steve Young was way better. Steve Young's a Hall of Famer.
I'm not saying that Brunell was better. I'm just saying that he's just another lefty. Okay.
A comp.
He's just another lefty. I'll probably take Trey here. I mean, this one we're not really going off of a mock draft, so just take who you want. But McConkey, Mitchell, you got Worthy, Troy Franklin. Okay. I think the back end of that first and that early second. Some of these guys are falling, and we're going to see where some of these guys go as far as their, where they're drafted to what team. But again, I mean, Benson goes to the Cowboys or Brooks to the Cowboys, and they're making it to the back end of the first round. Like, so you're going to start taking them at there because the landing spot is just too good. I took Daniels over Caleb in a single QB. Yeah, I'm okay with that. You want to go for the upside. Number 1 wide receiver and number 1 running back. Yeah, I feel you. I'm there too. I don't know. I started liking him a little more. I mean, he was talked about as one of the top quarterbacks, right? I mean, I think we talked about this last week, and then they played that championship game, and none of those guys looked impressive, McCarthy or Penix, and then we kind of just started, blowing them off. No Diddy, and
this show unhinged. Officially unhinged after that comment.
Oh shit. I like either Ted. I'll go Polk. But yeah, I mean, and now all of a sudden we're getting closer, and the talks are coming again. Like, because he can throw the football. The main thing is just the injuries, right? That's what it is. Our team's afraid of the injuries. Or are we just kind of over that? We were afraid of fucking Tua, right? I mean, we were afraid of Tua with the whole head injury stuff, and then he goes out there and fucking, leads the NFL in passing yards. Like, speaking of which, I mean, as we're talking about the Dolphins real quick, like, we did see numerous times like Tyreek Hill pull up with his hammy. Right? Are we getting there to that age where it could be a little bit scary for Cheetah? I mean, we saw it multiple times. I do expect Waddle to hopefully take a step up this year. I know he was dealing with some injuries last year, kind of all throughout, but
I'm not going to summarily dismiss that because
just saying, right?
Tyreek's usage has been crazy the last couple of years. Since he's been in Miami, the 2-year usage has been insane. And we kind of saw that with Cooper Kupp, where you get that just absurd usage in your body. Now, Tyreek Hill isn't as physical a wide receiver as Cooper Kupp is. Cooper Kupp was more of a physical receiver. Tyreek Hill, obviously down the field, speed. He doesn't really take a ton of hits, but just the usage overall. And he's 30 years old. Like it's not out of the realm of possibility that you're going to see some things like this happen. And the one thing that always worries me is that as you get older, you may miss, instead of one game or maybe, not finish the game, you might be looking at a 3 to 4 week extended injury, and now you're fucked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true too. Jamie talking about Javon Baker. Yeah, man, I like him. I mean, you see again Malik Washington going in the 4th.
I don't know. There's something about a
McMillan.
McCaffrey that excites me.
They're pure football players, bro. They know how to play football. They're smart. They're just born to be on the fucking gridiron.
There's something
They're
about
just
the name
pure,
McCaffrey
flat out,
that I
tough
like.
football players. Like, he's not the greatest wide receiver, but he's a tough guy and he's smart. So can he find himself in a situation where, like he just gets an opportunity and he's playing with a quarterback that can sling it, right? I mean, Puka doesn't do what Puka does if he doesn't have Stafford. Like if he's not in that situation, right? So
with a Cooper Kupp on the other side, or Cooper Kupp missing the first 4 weeks and him exploding and getting that confidence.
Yeah, exactly. I'm scared every time Waddle gets hit, Philip said. Yeah, I mean, the injuries suck, but he's proven what he can do, finish as a wide receiver 1, even with Tyreek Hill. So but yeah, I mean, fly Eagles fly. Jamie points it out here, some upside here. Thrash, Corley, Coleman, Odunze. I'm not a huge Coleman guy, but again, can we be patient with a guy that has to develop, right? And you're not getting them for Quentin Johnson price, right? You don't have to pay up to go and get this guy. So it's a better price to kind of, try and take a flyer on. Roman Wilson is another one where he's got to land in a good spot. Like if he can find himself a nice slot role somewhere, like that's going to be big. Mitchell is interesting. Like never really had like crazy like breakout season or 1,000-yard season, but he had an awesome combine and it looks like he can run more routes than kind of that we think, and he's a better route runner. So he's interesting coming up in the back end of the first round sometimes on a lot of these mocks. Troy Franklin, I think, got pushed down a lot, especially with his combine, but had a much better pro day. Brian Thomas, I mean, he's going in the top 20 picks. I've seen him go to the Colts multiple times, the Bengals, especially with T. Higgins situation, right?
Bengals would be really good spot,
right? If he goes to the Bengals, did they just straight move off of T. Higgins and just trade him right then?
They could trade him on draft day
to a team like the Bills.
That would be
wild.
I
mean, I know that's like best case scenario and wishful thinking, but
we've seen crazier things happen.
We've seen crazy things happen on draft day and close around.
AJ Brown. So AJ Brown was a crazy thing on draft day we didn't see happen.
Yeah,
a couple years ago.
Yeah. Pick 3 with Caleb is the best pick. Yeah, Caleb getting Caleb at the 1-3 is pretty sick. And I've found a lot now, like it's a lot harder to trade like back, even like a few picks, like especially in this draft where there's a pretty good like top 6, top 7, like solidified guys, right? Like, I'm finding it very hard to move from like even the 1-1 or the 1-2 to just like the 1-3 or the 1-4. Like people are like, I'll just take whoever's there. Like I'm not paying up. They don't want to pay enough up, go and get, so. Coleman goes to Pittsburgh. You got to draft him. Well, Pittsburgh, they do draft, right? They churn out these wide receivers, like so, and they can develop guys. So I think that is definitely a good spot. Like if Coleman goes there, where you're a little more excited, and maybe you can be a little bit more patient with it. But yeah, if you're getting them there, of
Especially with
course.
the upgrade at the
Frank Gore,
quarterbacks.
Brendan Rice, yeah.
With the upgrade at quarterback for Pittsburgh, I think if a wide receiver goes there, you feel pretty solid about it.
Now Shinbone, I like the 3-8 pick, right? The Will Shipley, right? There hasn't been much talk about him. He didn't do the combine. I think he's hurt for whatever it was. I don't remember the exact situation, but he's a guy that's a really good pass catcher. He can find himself, a decent role if he can find himself in the right spot, right? Marshawn Lloyd, another one, you're getting him in the third. Braylon Allen is interesting because he's a huge guy, right? Compared to a Derrick Henry type. But in this NFL nowadays, like, is he going to get the carries that he needs to rumble? Like, is he going to get 20 plus carries? Like, I don't know if we're giving people Derrick Henry carries now. Like, that's what worries me about Braylon Allen. Bucky, yeah. I think they're right around the same for me. I mean, it's just going to depend on the spot, really. I like both of those guys, but Jalen Wright, I really like. For me, I like Brooks, Benson, Jalen Wright, Marshawn Lloyd, Braylon Allen. I mean, for me, like, those are my top guys, but I haven't seen McConkey fall past the 201. I've seen him going like early to mid second, and it really depends if you're going off of a mock draft or not, where he has a spot. Then I've seen him move up, but a lot of people like don't believe McConkey has that wide receiver one like upside. Like a lot of people just think he can be a solid wide receiver two, but he can play both inside and outside. But like, he's never produced. Like, his college production is trash. And so, is that a matter of like the offense and how they were kind of using him? Because we can see what he can do, right? We've seen him run and run routes. So it's interesting, like, where he's going to wind up landing. But, everybody loves them some McConkey. Brian Thomas, I love Brian Thomas. He's solidified himself as that fourth guy. Yeah, I don't know about over Odunze, but Bowers, I mean, that is that's gonna be interesting. I've seen Bowers fall in a bunch of mocks, but yeah, I mean, the situation is great. Shit. Red, what's up, Red? Red McMuffin, 12 team Superflex start 9 PPR. Give Brian Robinson, get the 207 and the 407. I have no first this year. Team is decent. Start 9, Brian Robinson for the 207 and the 407. No first. Team's decent. I think I would rather like combine him with something to get something else. Like, I don't love
More
the 407
value.
and the 407. Like, is he worth about a mid second? Yeah, probably. But do you just want to jump out for the 207 and 407? Or do you want to maybe, combine something else, put together some kind of package where you're getting rid of Brian Robinson to go and get something? Can you get rid of Brian Robinson plus to get a back end first round pick? Or even an
Yeah,
early second pick if you don't wanna give up much, like.
I think I'd lean that way because you want to kind of at least take advantage of some value with no Gibby there in Washington. Brian Robinson is the kind of the guy, quote unquote, at this particular moment. So you want to see if you can capitalize on that value and move up a little bit, even if you have to package it with something else and get into the first round, the
Yeah.
back end of the first round. Because just based on our drafts, our last couple of mock drafts, like, if you could get into the 110, 111, 112, there's still good value to be had there.
Wait, I mean, especially when you're talking about start 9, I mean, the 207, not a startable player. So, I think I just wanna move something with Brian Robinson, get something better. Yeah, Lob, I thought getting him in the 4th was nice. It'd be interesting to see where he goes. McConkey could fall. I mean, the only way McConkey's falling is if he's in like a really bad spot. Like, if he's in some kind of crowded wide receiver room or no quarterback, like the Patriots or some shit. and they don't take a quarterback. Like, I don't know. Who knows? And they'll be slinging it with Brissett. Let me see if there's anything else really that. No, I mean, I like the picks. Crazy how like the quarterbacks have now, moved all the way up.
Vaulted. You really only
Mhm.
thought there was going to be the 3, and then McCarthy started creeping up. Obviously,
Now this, yeah.
Penix, and then Bo
And then
Nix.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, guys, throw any last second questions you guys got before we get up out of here. Appreciate everybody for coming out as usual. We will see you next week, Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, we essentially got 2 more shows until the draft.
Mm-hmm. So I had cut out and posted the the buys that we had right from
I
last
saw
week.
that. Yeah, I
So
saw it.
so I was watching when I was talking about Derrick Henry, and I was like, Isaiah Pacheco, are you fucking kidding me?
I don't think I saw that. I was watching it the other night.
It's like, Pacheco, you kidding me?
Oh, yes,
Do
when you
you
were talking about guys you'd rather have,
Yeah,
guys
because
you'd
like
rather not
I'm
have,
seeing
or you'd
some of
rather
these
have
other
Derrick
guys.
Henry.
I'm seeing these other guys getting drafted before Derrick Henry, and I know he's old, and I know he doesn't have the value. But if you're going for the points, and you're going for like that win
On that
down,
team?
like you're not telling me you can project 5-6 more years of Pacheco or Swift or any of these other guys, right? So I'm not leaving Henry. Like, I'm taking Henry.
Yeah.
12-team Superflex, start 10, no tight end premium, 2.40-yard tutties. QBs, Mahomes, Stroud, and some cans. RBs, McCaffrey, Ford, and some cans. Wide receivers, Garrett Wilson, Nico, DJ Moore, Jaden Reed, Amari, Thielen, Myers, Ingram won the ship last year. I have my own picks for 25. Would you sell McCaffrey for 2 random firsts, or what in 24 picks, trying to shift value to save it for later before the 24 deadline? So we won the ship last year. Got McCaffrey in cans. Our receivers are pretty good. I have my own picks for 25. Sell McCaffrey for 2 random firsts. 25 firsts? 2 random 25 firsts. Or what in 24 picks? I mean, shit.
You're looking at
What
at
is
least the top 3, right?
you
For
got? I
CMC.
mean, we're talking Superflex. Has got to be at least a top 5-ish pick, I would think. Like, I mean, even still, even McCaffrey being old, he's worth a lot. If you can get into the top 5, like I think I would take that. Otherwise, are you comfortable with just taking the 2 firsts and 25? Probably take the top. If you get the top 5 pick now, I'd do that. Rather
Yeah.
than, even though you're getting 2 random firsts in 25, like, I'd still rather take the top 5 pick if you can get up in there. Jaden Reed, the man in Green Bay. I mean, I've been saying Jaden Reed was the man since last season.
We talked about this a lot,
Early on,
obviously.
we did talk about it a lot,
Where's
and I
this?
was like, "Am I
Oh, that's
crazy?"
Ghost. Yeah, that's Ghost Monkey.
Yeah, Ghost.
Yeah, Ghost. I mean, listen, obviously everybody knows I'm a Green Bay fan, but even I had to admit, basically, watching this season, especially the back half of the season into the playoffs, is they have so many guys. You can't just isolate one guy. You know what I mean? Dontavian Wicks emerged at the end of the season. The tight ends are really good. Kraft and Musgrave. Obviously, they utilized some Aaron Jones. They brought in Josh Jacobs, who's a workhorse type back. Christian Watson missed a ton of time during the season. Romeo Doubs is still a really, really good receiver. So there's just so many guys. It's hard to say one guy is the man. In that situation. I think it's an equal opportunity employment situation where whoever's open is going to get the ball, and now they have a true workhorse running back. I know Aaron Jones was a little bit of that, but they have a true workhorse running back, a 20-plus carry guy in Josh Jacobs. So I love me some Jaden Reed, but I wouldn't say necessarily that he's the man. Diaz, you better cut it out, Malik Heath.
Diaz said Nico and McCaffrey for Amon-Ra.
That's a stiff price. Pause. No Diddy. That's a hefty price.
It is a hefty price, but you're getting rid of the old guy, old running back, and you're getting rid of, I guess, some of the risk maybe in Nico. But as much as I like Nico, I mean, Amon-Ra is clear cut, like top 5 dude. I mean,
yeah, but that production, does it? Nico and McCaffrey.
Can we not give Nico? Can you give one of the other guys? Can you give Reed, Amari?
I don't know if I'm doing Nico and
Myers?
McCaffrey for Amon-Ra. That's a lot.
I mean, he knows his league better, than we do, obviously.
That's fair.
But
that's fair.
Can you start with a CMC for Amon-Ra straight up? I mean, you might have to give something else on top, but does it have to be the Nico? Like, can we just, we'll start lower, right? Let's start with Reed, and then maybe we work our way up, right? He tried Reed and Myers, no go. Okay, he wants Nico. Can we get something else back then? Can we get something else back? Can we get a lower tier like wide receiver or something?
Okay.
Can I get something back? I think I want something back. I mean, as much as I want Amon-Ra. Yeah, see if he's got some kind of wide receiver, maybe, or pick something that you can somewhat get back where it just doesn't feel like it hurts as much, What about Gibbs and Wandale and the 209 for St. Brown and 3 late round picks? Gibbs and Wandale
and the 209 for St. Brown. Yeah, I'm doing that.
I'll take St. Brown. I'm taking St. Brown.
Give me that. I'm good with coming off the running
I
back
like
and
Wandale.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bo Melton, wide receiver 1, DS said. I mean, they've got like 10 guys over there. Yeah, I'll take St. Brown there.
Oh, Dell. Tank Dell.
Dell.
So
What
Gibbs
I missed?
and Tank
Dell. Okay. Gibbs and Dell and the 209, and you got
I'm still doing that. I'm still doing that.
Yeah, I'll still take it.
You get the hammer, bro. That's what you want to do. In that situation, I love me some Gibbs, but Jesus, you're gonna get the Amon-Ra? Go for it.
Right. All right, guys. Get up out of here. Appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all next week, but not bad. All good song. But yeah, awesome show. Appreciate everybody. Hopefully everybody comes out next week. And yeah, other than that, I mean, we've got the draft's coming up in
2 weeks.
Few weeks.
2.
Yeah. Shit.
2 weeks next Thursday. 2 weeks from Thursday. 25th.
That's crazy. I've got Matt Waldman coming on the show sometime before the draft. I think I've set up for him. It's like probably 10 days from now or so. I don't know if I'm going to go live because the only time he's available is in the morning. So it'll be like an 11 a.m. that he's available. So I might just record it and then, post it instead of doing the live show. I couldn't get a time for him with the live just because, we're on so late and he just wasn't available. So we'll get him on. We'll talk a little bit more rookies, from his eyes and what he sees and some of the, the quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. So we'll get a little bit of a deeper look, and it's perfect timing because we'll have the NFL draft coming up like the next week after. So, so that'll be good. So that'll be good. And if you missed the show last year with Matt Waldman, we talked rookies last year, so you can go check that out. Just search in our live shows, and you'll see that. But yeah, appreciate y'all. Let's get out of here. Hammer, check your DMs. All right, guys.
Diaz always starting some shit.
Peace.
Diaz always starting some shit.
And don't forget, Skol Vikings, pack a suck, baby.